has described the Duchess of Cornwall as dangerous. The Queen Consort, of course, she is now. He accuses his stepmother of having willingly traded information with journalists in a bid to stop them portraying her as the villain. He said the secret briefings were designed to rehabilitate her image, to smooth her pathway to becoming Queen Consort, but the meetings, in his words, left bodies in the streets.
There was much more. The Duke of Sussex also said that he felt there were still questions left unanswered over his mother Diana's death back in 1997 and the paparazzi's role in it. He revealed that he struggled to properly grieve for his mum, revealing that he has deliberately watched videos of her online, just hoping that they would provoke him to cry. But he says that he simply couldn't. He stayed dry-eyed. That was very moving. In a moment, we're going to be speaking to our North America correspondent, Noel Phillips, who has spoken to a friend of Harry and Meghan's, and we'll hear what they have to say across the Atlantic. But first, we're going to go to Buckingham Palace and our chief correspondent, Richard Gaisford. So, Richard, two interviews then, linked to the launch of the autobiography, have now been broadcast. One with Tom Bradbury, here on ITV, the second one in America overnight, and both containing quite remarkable claims, including how Harry and Meghan were allegedly snubbed when the Queen died. What do you make of that particular one?
Yeah, well, Prince Harry says he was told not to bring his wife to Balmoral, that he'd been in touch with his brother, had wanted to join other members of the royal family on a flight from London to Balmoral, but was then left very much on his own to make his own travel arrangements. It is clear from both of these interviews that relations with his family, especially his brother, have broken down. It is Kate, the Princess of Wales' 41st birthday today. It seems unlikely that there will be cards and gifts coming from California. And these comments about Camilla, his stepmom, the Queen Consort, are unlikely to help this family feud in any way as we head towards the coronation later this year. Certainly from these interviews, we get a picture of a man who has been troubled by his mother's death. And a lot of the issues that we experienced now, of course, stem from that interview he gave Oprah Winfrey back in March of 2021. But Harry says if we think that he and Meghan meant that the royal family were racist in that interview, well, then it's us that misunderstood. Two interviews by a prince with several clear preoccupations. Firstly, his stepmother's relationship with the press he so clearly loathes.
She was the villain. She was the third person in the marriage. She needed to rehabilitate her image. There was going to be people or bodies left in the street because of that. Going back to the relationship between certain members of the family and the tabloid press, those certain members have decided to get into bed with the devil, right?
It's pretty clear that he's talking about Camilla, the Queen Consort. And of course, that is damaging, but will the palace comment? I suspect not. I think this dignified silence is something that we're going to see continue.
Then there's the lasting emotional impact of Harry's mother's death in a Paris underpass. Circumstances which he still feels aren't fully explained.
And sometimes I watch videos online.
Of your mum?
Of my mum.
Hoping to cry?
Yep.
And you couldn't?
I couldn't.
Do you feel you have the answers that you need to have about what happened to your mom?
No. I don't think I do. And I don't think my brother does either. I don't think the world does.
There are also more telling extracts from the Duke's memoir published on Tuesday, revealing that even Diana's memory isn't enough to end his feud with the Prince of Wales.
And you said, I looked at Willie's familiar scowl, which had always been his default in dealings with me, his alarming baldness more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time, with age. It's pretty cutting.
I don't see it as cutting at all.
Do you speak to William now? Do you text?
Currently, no.
Do you speak to your dad?
We haven't spoken for quite a while. No, not recently.
Though the prince backtracked somewhat on those implications of royal racism over Archie.
There was concern about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
Right.
Ultimately, with two more US media appearances from Harry coming in the next 2 days, this will leave a still silent palace on the defensive. Richard Gaisford, Good Morning Britain.
Well, let's cross over to New York, find out what American reaction to these interviews has been. Noel is there for us. Very good morning to you, Noel. Significantly, You have been talking to someone who's very close to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. That's Omid Scobie, of course, who co-authored Finding Freedom, the book about their departure from the royal family and the UK to go and make a new life for themselves. He tweeted in the last couple of hours, confident, focused and at ease, as much as certain commentators want to paint Prince Harry out as lost and unhappy. It's clear in both of tonight's interviews that the man is in a good place. Brilliant analysis of the toxic relationship between the press and the royal family too. Is the reaction to these interviews, Noel, different in America? Do they have much more support there? Because a lot of the criticism over here is that he won't stop.
Well, Susanna, if we may just for a moment reflect on the Oprah interview, let's not forget 17 million people here in America watched that interview, and the reaction, I'm sure you can remember at the time, was explosive. People were shocked. It was hugely embarrassing for the royal family. It even prompted the late Queen to issue that infamous line, recollections may vary. And I think those accusations that were made about racism were hugely damaging. And as we've seen in that ITV interview, Harry is now distant, both him and Meghan, from accusing the royal family of racism. I'm not sure what the reaction is going to be when America wakes up in a couple of hours, but I'm sure what a lot of people will be talking about is just how much further will Harry go. Perhaps we're seeing, him drawing back on those claims is a sign of him extending an olive branch to his family in the hope of repairing relations. But I can tell you this morning, I understand that Harry has decided to open the closets and the palace walls and is allowing the skeletons to fall out in the hope of no more briefings, no more lies, as he puts it, and finally putting the record straight and having his say.
Nothing could have prepared the royal family for what was to come from Harry's sensational revelations.
I genuinely believe, and I hope, that reconciliation between my family and us will have a ripple effect across the entire world.
Whilst they are still absorbing the explosive tremors, the question now is, will there ever be a way back for him?
Do you know if Harry has at all spoken to his family?
There's been absolutely zero communication between Harry and Meghan and the institution of the monarchy and the family members within it. I think on the royal side, they've really been waiting to see what's inside the book beyond what the press is reporting from in it. But I do also think that this is the end of it. There is nothing left to share in this story. And I think that Harry and Meghan will both want to show the world that they are in a good place, that they are moving forward.
So as we now enter an unprecedented chapter for the monarchy, will Harry's sense of anger and betrayal now signal a new dawn?
British monarchs have taken a lot of reputational damage. George III didn't do himself any favors losing the United States in the Revolution. Somehow the monarchy survived. I think it will survive this too.
Beyond the drama of this inescapable soap opera, the question now being asked is, just how will it end? Noel Phillips, Good Morning Britain, New York.
It's interesting what Omid Scobie said there, and he has access to the pair of them.
Yeah.
Him saying that he thinks it's the end of it, which may be a coded message from them, because a lot of speculation has been that she's now going to write her own book, which will go over much of the same ground, but from a slightly different perspective. But maybe not, if Omid Scobie is correct, and they're seeing this as the closing of the door.
Yeah, and I thought also that there was a deal with Netflix and Spotify to do a number of programmes.
Yeah.
So are they now... Because Tom Bradby said to him last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
How much time can you spend looking back before eventually
good
you
question,
have to look forward? And well, hopefully, if he's in a good place, as he says, and as Omid Scobie says, he feels like he's told his story and he can now move on.
Well,
but, I mean, the rest of the royal family are sort of dealing with the rubble that's been left behind.
Well, it would be a huge relief, wouldn't it, if that was it, and if that was the last we had to talk about this damn story. But then how will they make their living? Because that's really that's been their ammunition. Those are the arrows in their quiver. They've shot them all now. What really more have they got to say that we'll be interested in hearing?
Oh, hopefully...
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad. If you're here for the truth about Prince Harry and Meghan, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and show your support with a super thanks. Let's dive in. Once again, Prince Harry is proving that he is unafraid to call out the toxicity within the royal establishment. In a recent interview, he revealed the calculated PR maneuvers used to protect Camilla, the so-called Queen Consort. He openly called her dangerous for a reason, because she played the long game, sacrificing others to improve her public image. And yet the British press would have you believe that Harry is the problem. No, the real issue lies with the monarchy's relentless backroom deals with the media, throwing Harry, Meghan, and even his late mother, Princess Diana, under the bus. Harry also bravely opened up about his struggles processing his mother's tragic death. The same media that hounded Diana until her final moments continues to spread lies and fuel division, all while pretending to honor her memory. And let's not forget, when the Queen passed away, Harry was deliberately sidelined, left to arrange his own travel, while the rest of the family closed ranks. This was a blatant act of disrespect, yet the tabloids spin it as if he and Meghan are the ones causing drama. The hypocrisy is staggering. And here's the kicker. Those same outlets now claim Harry and Meghan are unhappy in America, as if they haven't been thriving. Let's set the record straight. Harry is in a great place, focused, and free from the constraints of an institution that sought to silence him. Meghan continues to shine, and together they are building a life on their own terms. The only people clinging to the past are the royalist mouthpieces, desperately trying to stay relevant. So to all the haters pushing the tired narrative that Harry and Meghan need to move on, newsflash, they already have. It's time for the British press and the palace to do the same. If you appreciate real, unbiased coverage, support this channel by subscribing and hitting that super thanks button. Let's keep uplifting Harry and Meghan with the truth. See you next time on Royal Sussex Squad.